Okay, here's a good question on giving. My question is this: what makes a cheerful giver? And then the writer of this question gives several kind of principles of giving. I'll just summarize here. Giving must be voluntary. One must be giving your treasure, your finances, your time, and your talents. It's not necessarily the amount that you give, it could be the percentage that you give. The giving must be the first fruits. Giving must be without any pressure, without any compulsion. The giving is a gift to someone or something for God's glory, and these are all kind of the principles of giving that the questioner points out. But the core question here is what makes a cheerful giver, and I think maybe it would be helpful in answering this question just to read a few of the texts that speak of giving. The Bible is just filled with passages about giving, and I think it's really helpful just to hear a few of them as we begin answering this question. Jesus himself said, "It's more blessed to give than to receive." Acts 20:35. 2 Corinthians 9:6. Remember this: whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. Whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Um, Proverbs chapter 3. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing. Luke chapter 6, verse 38. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be poured into your lap. And indeed, from Psalm 112:5, good will come to him who is generous, and many, many, many more. But I just want us to get the feeling that being generous is a massive theme in the Bible. It's not just spoken of one or two times. And the reason it's so important is that because remember, Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount said, "Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." And there's no better indicator of where your treasure is than where you give. As has been pointed out so many times, you can trace a person's treasure in two ways, right? Their checkbook and their calendar. How you spend your time, how you spend your money is one of the greatest indicators of where your treasure is. And so what makes a cheerful giver? And the answer is this: it's the greatest giver in all the world is who? Of course, was Jesus Christ. Not in that he gave his money, he gave his life. He gave his life as a ransom for many. There was no person who gave more in terms of his surrendering all his, voluntary, independent, voluntary surrender of his divine attributes to become a man. He had to surrender all of that wealth of heaven to come to earth. And then on earth, as a man, he surrendered his life unto death on the cross. No person gave more than Jesus in that respect. Now, let me ask you, do you think Jesus gave his life cheerfully? Is that an accurate description? Remember Hebrews chapter 12. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross. And I think that's the best understanding of what it means to be a joyful or a cheerful giver. When we sacrifice deeply, it's always going to hurt. By definition, it's a sacrifice. We have to give up something that makes our life convenient, makes our life comfortable, makes our life enjoyable in some way, and we choose to give that up for the sake of the kingdom. That's never going to be a pleasant experience. If you give out of your excess, that probably won't be your experience. But if you give out of your poverty, if you give in such a way that it hurts, that will be your experience. And so how can that be a cheerful experience? And the answer is because you're looking towards the reward. You're looking at the greater purpose. And I think probably the best parable of this is Jesus's parable of the man who finds the treasure hidden in the field. Remember this? So here's the man, and he's going out to buy, he's surveying a field to buy. And in that process of surveying it, he discovers this treasure chest. And the treasure chest has, let's just say billions and billions of dollars of treasure hidden in this treasure chest. And so the man says, okay, in my joy, I'm going to sell everything that I have so that I can purchase the field. The field's very expensive. I've got to give it. I've got to give everything up. And maybe there's even a period of time between when he sells everything that he has and then acquires the field. In that period of time, there will be discomfort. But guess what? In his joy, he's able to do that because he's looking forward to the reward. That's exactly what Hebrews chapter 12 says. For the joy set before him, Jesus endured the cross. And then that principle ought to come right home to us as we consider giving to the ministries that God has placed here on earth. For the joy set before us, we give. We give happily, we give graciously, we give deeply, we give sacrificially, knowing that it's producing for us an eternal weight of glory far beyond all comparison, right? You will never, ever, ever be disappointed for those things that you give to God. So hopefully that gives some perspective on that, but great question. Love the interaction and the thoughts that kind of forced me to think through on that.